Sure.
We're online, but
Let's go ahead and call the meeting to order. Good afternoon. Today is February the 11th, 2025. This is the regular meeting scheduled for the Veteran Advisory Board. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge of allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 3, public comment.
If we go into public comment, I'd just like to welcome one and all to our board. You're missing a chair member and or a board member, and I am glad it's up there.
This is again. Mr.
Oh no, they're talking about the vacancy though, right?
Right.
Yeah, we filled the vacancy. We have all 5.
Is that?
We're good.
I'm saying I.
Oh, you're welcoming her
Welcome
publicly?
Yes. Thank you for coming and being on this team. You're going to ask for a better battle.
Okay.
Any open comments?
Item number 4, approval of the minutes for the special meeting from January 28th, 2025.
The meeting minutes were sent out via email last week. Did you all get to review them?
Review them? All motion?
I make a motion to accept the minutes. I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Item number 5, receive updates from the El Paso County Veteran Service Organizations, Director of El Paso VA Clinic, and other guests in attendance on information and or events to the El Paso County veterans.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Amin Enriquez, and I'm the Chief of Center for Development and Civic Engagements at the El Paso VA. Got a few points from the director. According to the executive orders and presidential memorandum, we just want to make sure that everyone understands that we have a lot of questions about how the new administration, the executive orders will affect the El Paso VA and how we care about our veterans. So as with any changes in the administration, we must remain committed to our mission, and there is no change to our veteran quality of care. So far, the changes are internal to the VA and El Paso VA hospital clinics. It's in this process of making the changes necessary to comply with the executive orders. Right now, there are no changes, only to internal to us. If anything does change, our social media pages, VSOs, and community partners will share the guidance, if anything, we receive from our VA leadership changes. We also look forward to having more information to share during our March Teletown Hall with the entire veteran population. We have some changes as of My Healthy Vet. I know last time when I came, I spoke about changes to the websites, and it was to do on 3rd January. Now they pushed those deadlines to March 4th. So again, all changes to the My Healthy Vet websites will be effective March 4th. Again, they will have 2 secure logons information. The websites and the apps will remove My Healthy Health Vet option off the website. The DS login option will still be available. Veterans will still be able to use My Healthy Vet portal. They would just have to sign on with their login ID. That's the most important part, is that they need to create this login ID. That way they can log on to they can do it from their phones. I know some of you already are using it. It's just authentication, just for privacy and safety matters. Veterans Transportation Service has changed their email address. So we want to give you the new email address for our Veteran Transportation Services. So it's going to be VHAELP Travel Office at VA.gov. Again, it's going to be VHAELP Travel Office at VA.gov. For any general questions, they can always call the Transportation Office, and their contact information is 915 564-7947. Again, their contact information for transportation is 915-564-7947. And if anyone needs to schedule a transportation appointment, you can call the 915 number, 564-6114. As you guys know, this month is our National Salute to Veteran Patients. The Department of Veteran Affairs and the National Salute to Veteran Patients is observing our annual week of Valentine's Day, and the day of caring and sharing the underscore salute, expression of honor and appreciation for all hospitalized outpatient veterans. So this year we are partnering up with William Beaumont Army Medical Center, and we're going to visit all the veteran patients that are hospitalized at the center. So we will be out there on the 11th through the 17th. Mainly on the 12th, we'll be out there passing out some tokens of appreciation. Director will be out there. I'll be out there. Some of the staff from Beaumont Hospital leadership will be out there with us also. So again, it's just something to give back to those veterans that are going through a hard time at this time. Our veteran teletown hall, the next veteran teletown hall will be scheduled for Thursday, March 6, 2025 from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Again, the next veteran teletown hall will be scheduled Thursday, March 6, 2025 from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. The entire healthcare system veterans will receive a call, and if they wish to participate, they should remain on the line. For updates, listen only numbers for town hall. Please check on our social media pages. Our next Women's Veteran Pact Act Enrollment Clinic will be Saturday, March 15, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the East Side Rec Center on the far east side, 13501 Jason Crandall Drive, El Paso, Texas.
Can you say that again?
That's going to be our Women's Veteran Pact Act Enrollment Clinic, and that's going to be on a Saturday, March 15th, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's going to be at the East Side Rec Center, 13501 Jason Crandall Drive, El Paso, Texas. And the reason for Paso, Texas, El Paso Villa will be hosting our all-women veteran Pact Act because we never done one before. This will be our first one ever. In order to, gather that community effort, we'll have an opportunity to speak directly with VA representatives, file claims, enroll in VA healthcare, learn about women's veterans programs throughout the VA, community resources, and so much more. So please join us March 15 on our first Women's Veteran Pact Act enrollment clinic. And that's all I have. Pending any questions from the board?
Let's get a couple questions. Is there a way you could roll that up and send an email so we don't have to dig through the video to
Yes, sir.
get those pertinent information?
I can send it.
If you send it to me,
Ms. Hunt,
and I'll send it out.
and she can send it to you.
I know at our last meeting, we had a gentleman talk about those town halls, how they're great, sort of.
Yes, sir. They're also
Where it's more old timers, you know what I'm saying? I'm speaking for myself, and they like that face to face. I have a question. Is that ever going to be an option, or is it so challenging?
Yes, sir. So somebody from the brought it up last time, so I brought it up to my leadership. I will re-engage again this time. They are discussing it for possible doing something. The director was in agreement that in Amarillo they do at least once a year they do a face-to-face. So he was in agreement. They're just probably looking for a possible date on the calendar and a location that way you could have enough space for. Just imagine if 50,000 veterans show up.
It's a beautiful thing. But I can understand the challenges also that come.
So we would make sure that we plan accordingly so we can prepare for you guys. Yes, ma'am.
Most of the time when they call, I connect. 2 times they've called and it's disconnected for the teleconference. And with that, the number and the code changes, so I can't call back because I have nothing to, I don't have the number or the code. So is there any way that when they call, it's just like they connect you, you hear the background, and they tell you you're connected to ... teletown hall, blah, 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 and then boom, it just goes dead.
So you can't connect back. Once it disconnects,
I don't even get to hear them say, if you get disconnected, because that's the next thing they usually come and say. If we get disconnected, here's the number. And they give you the number and the code.
I'll bring it up to our OIT department.
Can you just call the front desk? Because I tried that. They didn't have the code. They had the number.
So they're like on a, it's on like a restricted channel that they open just for that town hall. So I will have to go and put this ticket through OIT and see how we can generate a fix for that. So it's probably happening to many other veterans that are getting disconnected or stuff.
Thank you.
I just had a question regarding your travel office. Is there a distance on that? As I start dipping my toe in this, VA pool, I'm seeing some folks are having challenges on getting to VA. I think usually a neighbor steps in, but is there a distance like Lower Valley? If you start going out to Favens, is there?
No. But we have our region, we have our counties that we're responsible for in the VA here. So we have our transportation office that takes care of, if you have an appointment, call them, and they should be able to get you a way to get to the VA. The other option that they also provide to that veteran is they can take a Uber Connect. So they'll send them an Uber. They actually send them an Uber Connect to that veteran's home and bring them in. And then if that other option is not available, then we have the Volunteer Transportation Network that is run by volunteers out of the CDC office that we will go pick you up. We've gone as far as Deming to pick somebody up. We went as far as Alamogordo today to pick somebody up.
Okay.
We go as far as Elephant Butte, pick some folks up there. We've gone as far east as past, I don't know, but the fork on the road up there by almost going to San Antonio, Dallas. We've gone that far to pick somebody up.
So if you're in the regional footprint of your VA, you accommodate some level of travel.
Some level of travel. The thing is the coordination between the three offices. So you have the folks that do the daily scheduling to our local areas that we have that have the transportation buses. And then if they can get you, then they should transfer you to somebody to do the Uber. Maybe Uber can bring you in. And if Uber doesn't bring you in, then that person should contact the Veteran Transportation Network. That way we can schedule and arrive for that veteran.
Is it still a 2-week window for appointments?
Yes.
Like if you want, it's still 2 weeks?
We always say, please give us some time because, appointments happen daily. We have hundreds and hundreds of appointments daily at the VA. So as soon as you know your appointment, you should contact your transportation office. If you cannot drive yourself to that.
Last thing I got, is there any immediate challenges that we can help you with?
Well, the one we spoke about it, which is something that probably talked.
That's important.
Yes, sir. So, something was brought up about if something happens with a veteran at one of our clinics or one of our transportation buses, how can we better coordinate with law enforcement, with Fort Bliss, and also with local El Paso police? It might be in Las Cruces also. So, how can that communication, what we need to do to actually work on those agreements. So I guess I'll we'll give you a call this week sometime, and we'll try to fix it. But thank you for that.
I got one question for you. On the women's PACNET, are they also going to see surviving spouses in case they need change or anything done for them or no?
Yes, I mean, everybody should be able to go and ask those questions. We'll have the teams there that will have those experts, SMEs from each one of those areas, so they can ask those questions.
Thank you for your take. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Does anyone else have anything?
Item number 6, receive an update from the City of El Paso military officer regarding veteran issues.
He's not here today, so.
All right. Item number 7, receive an update from the El Paso County Veteran Assistance Office regarding veteran issues.
Good morning, Antoinette Hunt, Veteran County Service Officer. I just have a couple of things. And I wanted to let you know that I talked to both of our Congress people's veteran liaison today. There's a lot of information going out about what's going on at the federal level with DOJ. I don't want anybody to panic. I've asked them to look into it and maybe provide a statement at a later time because there is some information going out that they're going to go through veterans benefits and our benefits are going to be cut. We don't want to sell disinformation because we will cause paranoia, and they'll all be at my office asking about their benefits. So we don't want anybody to worry just yet. I have reached out to both Congress people and I spoke to the VA before this about what's going on with DOJ and how we, if we can get like an official statement or something just to give the veterans peace of mind of what's actually being looked at and what's not being looked at. So just to give you that, and hopefully we'll hear back from our Congress people on that, and they can put out some type of public information release to quell those. Second thing is I'll be at the Women's PAC Deck March 15th. I think I'm one of 5 female VSOs in the county. So the other 4 belong to the VA, and I think DAV's got a couple, but I'm not sure if they support the PAC Deck Claims Clinic. So I will be at the Claims Clinic on March 15th at the least. May 10th, which is Mexican Mother's Day, I am planning an event at the park that is still in the very early stages of planning, but it's going to be like an Armed Forces Veterans at the Park Day. I want it to be fun and lighthearted, working with the DAV and EHN and Veterans One Stop to get bounce houses. They might have a car show, some monster trucks. It's a county event, so I would love it. And it's only gonna be in the morning time, but I would love it if the VAB could make themselves available to talk to veterans about anything that they have concerns with. And as we go through planning, I'll keep you guys informed of what's going on with that because it's in the very, very early stages right now.
Is there a proper name for that, Mexican Mother's Day?
I don't know if there's a proper
I
name.
think it's Spanish. Mother's Day, it's the same thing.
Dia de los
Madres.
It's not just for Mexican mothers.
Yeah, it's for area.
Well, it's Saturday, right? So like
It's just a different day.
It's just okay.
Yeah, but Mother's Day is on 11th, right?
Right, and so Mexico, it's just.
Mexico celebrates on the 10th.
Awesome, all right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, 2 Mother's Days.
They get 2.
We don't have enough. It's not official.
But yeah, just to let you know, and then that's all I have. If you have any questions for me.
You can be at home.
You sure?
Yeah, you can be at home.
He wants me
to
to say what I want to say now.
So go ahead.
Because it gets kind of aligns with the veterans.
Okay, we've already put out that we wanted a women's veterans center, veterans home. I was approached today at the Northeast meeting about having a soldier's home, which is totally different. And I haven't had time to get the information that I need, but I know right now in the United States, there are only 2. One is in Eglin Air Force Base, Louisiana, on the corner of the water there. And the original one is in Washington, D.C. All of those are distant to Texas, period. So any person, and the difference in the veteran's home and the soldier's home is it's like a assisted living as opposed to how they're staying in the veterans' homes. So it's where veterans that outlive their family members that have nobody else, it's a place for them to go and have like bonding and fellowship and live a quality of life like on their own, independent with other veterans. So that is what they want in the area.
Okay.
So I have to find the research on, I'm sure, grants and like I said, the comparison, so I could tell them more details about the comparison between the veteran home versus the soldier's home. And then that there are only 2. And the newest one is in Eglin. The oldest one is in Washington, D.C.
So just so I understand it, it's kind of like a senior living community, but only for veterans.
Only veterans.
Okay. I mean, that makes sense. And that's something that we talked about, tiny home communities. And the city was talking about taking the old VA and turning it, what do they call it, tunnels to towers? And tunnels to towers and turning that into like a large list. So there's several things that are in play right now. And that's just something that we can look at, is making like a senior, or where like-minded people are living together in community and kind of keeping an eye out for each other. I don't think it's a bad thing.
We got one on the northeast has one.
No, that's a veteran's home. It's not a soldier's home.
Okay.
Two different.
So like what she's saying is a veteran's home, like the one in the northeast, has nurses and doctors and people caring for them. What she was asked is, can you provide a senior living center, which means that there's no doctors, no help. It's just a community of veterans who have outaged their family. So now they're living in a community with like-minded people.
And they have a huge facility. It's set up just like assisted living, and you have your own apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm not even sure if the one in DC was kind of semi-gated, but not really gated. But
so like the ones they built by Urban High School, they got a couple of them. So my grandfather lives there. That's how I know.
It's senior living.
Senior living. That's totally different.
But it's senior living. It's
similar.
It's all senior folks. There's no younger people there.
Right.
The concept is the same.
Yeah.
So the concept is just different, but just for veterans.
Correct.
If you ever had a UCMJ action where they took money from you?
That's what paid for it.
That's where the money
That's where the money goes to build those.
I'm glad you know I contribute. But yeah.
Thank you.
Were there any other questions for me or my office?
Any challenges that you have that Veterans Advisory Board can assist?
Not that. No, I mean, and it's not
That's what we're saying.
it's not a secret. We have 3 VSOs in our office, and we could always use more people or use an admin, but I don't know that the VAB can action that at all.
Can we assist as a volunteer?
I mean, absolutely. And we do take volunteers. They go through the same screening process you do for the VAB. We also take work studies. So like we are an approved site for the VA work study program. It pays minimum wage, but if you know veterans who are college students who want to help, and we can house them in our office. I've done that before. And then I've taken volunteers on, like our volunteer coordinator will advertise for us and say, hey, do you want to volunteer at the veterans office? It's a different population that we deal with. So some of our volunteers come one day and then are gone the next, because sometimes it's a lot.
Can board members volunteer?
Absolutely. Like if you want, I can connect you with Monica, our volunteer coordinator for the county. But absolutely, those are things that like we face, and we're being creative on how we deal with it until.
I see him walking around the neighborhood a lot. No, nothing to do. No. I'm grading when I ask, because if we continue to identify these gaps, I think that's a good solution to give you a volunteer. If I can volunteer, I can find some of these actions that can bridge these gaps. You know what I'm saying? But right now, it comes out of pocket.
Right, and that's
sometimes the answer is just.
Yeah, we got to use what we have and be creative.
My neighbor needs to go to the VA, I take them. Which, I don't want to give that up for anything, but there are solutions out there that already exist that will help educate us.
Of course.
And in turn, give you someone who knows how to deal with a veteran then.
A veteran?
A veteran.
That's absolutely right. Yeah, you definitely have to connect with them before. Yes, ma'am.
On your Mother's Mexican Day, are you going to have medical coverage?
What do you mean?
Like when kids jump out and fall down and hurt themselves?
We're still in a very early planning stages.
I'm just saying, I don't know if you connect with William Beaumont or somebody that's
emergency services.
Yeah.
We're still in the very early planning. So as we get that, we've considered like emergency services, traffic control. It's going to be at the park, at Escarate Park, which is a county park. And like I said, it's still at the very early. I'm meeting with the parks tomorrow to solidify that it's going to happen, and then I'm meeting with the other 2 agencies that I'm working with to just finalize and send out invites. So we've talked about medical needs, the different resources we pulled together, mental health resources, VA. We're sending it out to the VA to see if they can help resources. I know that that's we have to ask permission to some of these agencies now. They're not as free with letting them do outreach. So those emails will go out probably tomorrow afternoon or Thursday, and we'll start the planning as far as bringing everything together. But I just wanted to put it on your calendar so you know that that's 100-meter target down the road is that I'd love for you guys to be there and just kind of mingle with the veterans. And it's supposed to be fun and lighthearted. It's not going to be real stern panels and you can wear board shorts and flip-flops.
Okay.
Mr. Barnes.
1985 just called and said, nothing no more.
And your snorkel. No.
Well, that goes back to our shirts. You have some-
Yes.
I know.
She knew it.
I knew what you were doing.
Yeah, exactly. Is there anything else for my office? Okay.
Thank you very much.
Of course.
Let's go ahead and go to item number 8. Discuss and take appropriate action regarding Veteran Advisory Board short and long-term goals for 2025 to submit to Commissioners Court for consideration.
Okay. So I'm going to pull up the document we worked on last week. I'm going to share a bunch of stuff with you guys. So this is the document we worked on last week with all of our priorities. And are you able to see that? Oh, see.
Horizontal.
There. Better? So these are the things we discussed last meeting. I wanted to just elaborate on that. As you know, the VAB is tentatively scheduled to brief Commissioners Court in the end of this month. So we may have to do another special meeting just to kind of hammer down things.
Do you have a date on it? Briefing date?
It's the 27th is a special session scheduled for, it's typically the third Thursday, but there's something going on that third Thursday, so they're pushing it to the last Thursday.
Most of the court will be in Austin for El Paso days. The legislative session is going on right now. And so the chamber hosts El Paso days in Austin. So majority of the court's going to be out that week. So we pushed the special meeting a week for the month of February.
So 27 February.
27 February, yes, sir.
They will be back for that though.
They will.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
They'll be back, but the slides will need to go up the week prior, submitted to the court. And honestly, I'll have to send them up through my chain of command, my boss, just for review prior to that. So I'm hoping during this meeting we can hammer down at least 3 priorities and maybe some talking points for the slide. I also have, I created a blank PowerPoint presentation with the standard formatting for you guys. Let me see if I can share that. So this is the standard template for our slide presentations, and I just stripped it of what was in, because this is the same slide deck I'm using for my slides to the Commissioners Court. So I created 3 blank slides, and we can fill it as we see necessary if we get to that point, and then maybe we can come back together late next week or the week, no, it'd have to be next week to hammer down. So if you guys want to go deeper into discussion with the priorities, we can talk about the things that we talked about last week.
Or I know you all said that you were gonna digest all of the information that came out last time. Tony, perhaps you can just give a brief overview so that Ms. Wakefield has an understanding of what was discussed last time. And then I think what's next is to write the goals based off of the information, the brainstorming that you all did.
Okay, so this is kind of our brainstorming. One of our goals was to update the resource guide and create criteria for it and a policy as to what resources we want in our resource guide. And then we discussed various women veterans needs. The Veterans Treatment Court wanted a compliance officer. I think they are waiting for funding, but that may actually be matched. I did reach out to the Veterans Treatment Court to get clarification. So They may actually be meeting that need. They're just trying to figure out the funding. Other women's veterans issues is a homeless shelter specifically for women veterans. We're talking about women veterans with acute trauma due to military sexual trauma, MST. State assistance in establishing veterans organizations is nonprofit, because that is kind of a lengthy process. Child care for women veterans, but also child care for any veterans, because it's an issue across the board. And then Melissa Hargrove from TVC Women Veterans, she spoke to us about suicide prevention specifically as it pertains to women veterans, and issues that happen with women, like women veterans that go through menopause and go through life changes, and how the suicide rates are raising across women veterans. We talked about our needs assessment, about collaborating with the city and doing, so the last needs assessment was done in 2020. It is time to start working on a new one. The city is working on a vendor for that. And then the county normally collaborates and provides part of the funding, but we recognize that as a need for the needs assessment. Another category we spoke about is identifying gaps in services for veterans. Gaps in services are legislative support, so active bills that are being presented. And I think I sent you all an email with the current Texas legislation as it pertains to veterans. I don't know if you were able to go through that. Advocacy opportunities, those are opportunities. I think Steve Garza from Commissioner Ford's office brought that up, is like when we have something on the table and we need people to support it, having this organization readily available to bring veterans together to advocate on behalf of veterans. Another gap in service that has been identified is our aging veteran population. So right now we have an aging Vietnam veteran population, and our retirement facility is at capacity. So looking at how we can go to the state or federal level and ask them for additional space. And kind of my thought process is, if we have an aging Vietnam veteran population, the Gulf War, Desert Storm, Iraq, Afghanistan, there's more of us and we're not too far behind. So if we start advocating for that now, maybe we can make it a reality within a few, 10 years or so. Another goal was, our priority was our outreach, going to veteran service organization meetings, you talked about print media platforms, social media, just how we communicate the VAB to the veterans and have them the ability to communicate back with us. And then benefits, we said identify those that have never applied. So we do have, and that's an issue here in El Paso, we do have about 20,000 veterans that have never applied for their benefits. I asked for current numbers. The last data that they provided was from like 2019. You can go to, and I didn't know this, you can go to va.gov and they have open records. You can pull all kinds of fun reports from there. I did pull it, but it was from 2019, and those numbers said there were about 35,000 veterans. So at the expo last year, VBA came out and said it's about 20 now. I don't know if you have access.
It was 35,000 that are registered with the VA to get care, like 40,000 that are registered, but the 5,000 gap, they getting their care somewhere else. And then there is like 20,000 that
we know live here.
We know they live here, but they're not registered and never filed.
And there's two age categories we're looking at that. You're looking at your Vietnam, Korean War veterans that applied and somehow lost faith in the system. And then you're looking at our 25 to 40 age group veterans who got out after 4, 8, 1 term or 2 terms and got another job, got another set of health care, never went after their VA benefits. And most of them don't until it's time for them to retire. Then they start thinking about additional sources for benefits and resources. So those are the things that we talked about. I don't know if you guys want to narrow this down into, maybe we can group these.
Are you listed one of the gaps is the training to get the nonprofit status? I thought that the Commissioners Court, they decided that we don't want to go the direction and require the nonprofit.
No, we're not requiring it. We're talking about finding assistance to help. So if, like, say your Lower Valley veterans wanted to go nonprofit and they didn't know how, finding somebody that can like help them walk through the process of getting to the 501(c)(3), because we have a lot of agencies that have done it several times. So it's not anything that is completely separate from Commissioners Court, but creating some type of like how
It's not required.
it's not required, and that's completely separate. That item on Commissioner Court is completely separate.
That's left up to the VAB to decide.
Yeah.
Commissioner Court said the VAB should decide.
Yeah, we're not gonna limit you because you don't have a tax ID number. When it
Yeah.
comes to nonprofits,
That would-
501(c)(3)s, if you don't have a tax,
A
a
lot of
lot of nonprofits are just, we're a nonprofit.
Yeah. So
We're not.
if you have a veterans group that like, and I just use this as an example, the women veterans of El Paso, Texas just got their nonprofit status. It took them about 15 months before they got that. So if we had some type of organization who could coach and train them on how this is done, the minimum requirements the board has to have to set up, the fees that are associated with that. And so then, and that's all we're looking at is how we can help our veteran organizations in the community achieve that 501(c)(3) status. And that's something that the VAB can go out and teach or whatever, but it has nothing to do with,
Like tying it to the funds.
it's not being tied to funds or the grant or anything. It's just something that we can assist because it's a very weird path it took. And if you don't know and you're figuring out, it took the women's group like 15 months to establish that, because as you have your board and you apply for status and then a board member drops off and this board member, so you have to continually keep all of that stuff up. And it's just something that we talked about as a gap in services, being able to outreach and teach people how to do that.
Yeah, we're more glad to link them to the right people, because I know a lot of people want to donate money, but if they can't get a tax, get a receipt on that to file for the taxes, because they don't have a tax ID number, they're less apprehensive sometimes. And so people's up there. I work with a lot of 501(c)(3)s that don't have a tax ID. They're not a 501(c)(3). They think they are, And,
That's why I was mentioning almost all of the veteran groups in the alliance, none of them are.
No, and they don't need to be. Yeah, and they don't need to be. But
right.
what we're saying is, if they wanted to be, then we would create a group that knows how to march this path, and then say this is how and coach them through the whole process. That's something that the VAB can do, but it's not something that. Right. So that being said, with everything that we have up here, what are your thoughts on grouping this into 3?
Going to the Commissioner's Court when we do this briefing, and one thing we said is just picking at least 2 to 3 things and prioritize them in order. And so we're going to pick it from this list right here, correct?
Yeah, and some of these things can be looped together, like, and this is just me. I'm not telling you how to do this, but you can loop it into identifying gaps in services, resource guide updating and the criteria for the resource guide, and outreach. So the outreach and even the gaps in services are something that would be charged, and actually all 3 are things that the VAB could action themselves without going out for funds or any type of that. There's 3 things that the VAB could action themselves. So I can show you, let me stop sharing this. If you wanted to do that, like if you wanted to say update the resource guide, that could be goal number 1 is update and create criteria for the resource guide. And then if you wanted to make it electronic so we don't have a 60-page book, let's see.
It kind of goes back to targeting our outreach, because I don't know, when you do outreach, what platforms do you use, or besides the mail?
We use all. So we have a PAO office led by Ms. Connie Madrano,
Mhm.
and Mr. Dave Brisson. So we use all types of, all the normal ones that you guys know, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. We try to reach out to the younger population of veterans because we know they're all plugged into some type of platform. So that's what we use to reach out to the community. Plus, we tend to stay connected with the community by going to events within the different city, counties, and just putting out our PACT clinics, inviting our local folks on there. We meet with a lot of our folks that are in the community just to get them out there and then see how we can partner up with the schools. For volunteers, we partner up with all the different agencies. We got folks going to the Border Patrol, all the different agencies that are here that we know have veterans that play a part in it. We partner up with Fort Bliss. We partner up with all the different other services, branches of services. And that's how we do it. It's a year-long thing, and then we put a lot of services at the main, so folks can come and visit us, and we try to celebrate everything. Every month we have a celebration about something else. We'll bring speakers from the community. Some of you guys have been to some of our events, and that's how we try to. That's some of our outreach opportunities that we have.
I think we talked last time. We always see the same faces at those events. Correct me if I'm wrong. I mean,
No.
How do we reach out to that guy down in Fabens, down Lower Valley right now?
Right. So we just did an event at the Indian with the speaking. We did.
Oh, Sunny Seed. Was it Sunny Seed?
No, it's Socorro. This is Socorro behind the academy, right?
So we went down there to the, and then we did a PACT clinic out there. We did the observances for the native folks down there. They brought their dancers and everything else. We brought our folks from all our different agencies that we have within the VA, and then we did one like that. We did one in the Segundo Barrio. We did one in Anthony. We did one in so we go out to all the different parts. I'm going out to Las Cruces here in a couple of days. Saturday to a church. Let's say about 120 veterans are there. So every little opportunity that we get, they call us and say, hey, we got this event. We go out to we meet up with the folks at the veteran breakfast. We go there. When we go to all the different pockets of veterans community, we try to partner up with all of them. And if they need something from us, we try to assist them with what we can. And then I think in the summer, we do the big Vet Fest, where we throw it at the VA. And we bring everybody together to that festival. What we do is we try to collect, going back to school supplies for the kids in the community. That's one of the big events that we do in the summer. So we bring music, we bring activities to do and things like that, but we also have our clinics there to try to see if we get new veterans to register for the VA.
Do you ever go out and measure that effectiveness?
Yes.
You see what venues bring most in? Because
they have a patient experience officer that she is in charge of making sure she is gathering that information from all the different parts and cohorts, all the different types of communities, because you have veterans that are still from the 20s and then the younger ones. So she measures all that, and we do the surveys also to see what we capture in those.
I guess back to the slides.
Okay, no, because I'm working on something and I'm listening. I swear. So I just came up with a quick resource goal, and you guys can edit it as you see fit. AI is amazing.
It is.
So, and I can edit this however you see, but I wanted to make sure that we establish criteria. So I would put goal number 1. Is this a goal then? Let me check off those quotation marks. 22, nope. So, and I kind of wanted to show you, let me stop sharing this. If you guys, y'all had a chance to read it, right? Okay.
I'm trying to get the questions that would come back from a commissioner. How would you get this out to our veterans? How would this guide be? How can the guy in, Favens get a hold of this? I think digitizing it.
So my thought is we put it on our webpage and you categorize it. That's what I'm about to show you. Okay. This is what I wanted to show you. Stop. Sharing. This is something I had a volunteer start working on. So as you see, I brought this last month, but the one I brought for some reason was completely blank. My computer crashed when I came back from Christmas. So we divided these into emergency hotlines, local hotlines, food insecurities, healthcare, education resources, employment, housing, and then local organizations, legal and tax resources, and then that's it. So we got to, getting connected with veteran service organizations. So that's your VFWs, American Legions. So we could reach out to them.
I correct me if I'm wrong, the question that you were asking, once we put this product together, even if we digitize it, how do we get it to the community, like those long distance places?
I think that you're saying on the webpage.
It's going to be on our webpage. We can also push a link through our social media and we can have it sent out.
Martha Garza does a good job. Just reaching out, also the congressional folks.
Yeah.
They got their own
distro list
where they're just getting connected with the all the congressional folks. Martha Garza, the VA. And there's so many others that do the same, like Project Amistad, Ayuda. There's so many districts that do so much.
Our IT department has helped us. Go ahead. Mm-hmm. Our IT department has helped us before creating a QR code. So we could create a QR code, say, are you a veteran who needs a resource? And then it goes to our page. Most of our World War II, Korean, Vietnam veterans don't compute, but somebody they love does, and that's typically the people who reach out to me, a sibling, a child, somebody that loves them and says, I need help. So I think that digitizing it would be the best way, and then we can update and take off. So some of these have already been verified. Like I said, I had a volunteer. She worked very hard, and she did the employment. She did like the first 4 or 5 categories for me. So if we were to finish, then it wouldn't be very much work if we just got on the phone, all of us.
So I think the question is, if it goes on the website, will that website take you to an Excel spreadsheet or does it take
No, it's going to take you to a link. So my vision is you'll have subcategories like employment, education resources, healthcare, and then you click that link and then all the resources have their own link. So you can go directly to the resource.
Yes, sir.
No, I agree that that's great to put it all together. Another way that we could outreach is something that we meet monthly with the Lower Valley in very first state. So Mr. Like for example, Mr. Daniel is volunteering attending those meetings monthly. So either him or even a staff from the commissioners, or even I know you've gone out to their meetings to do. So like slowly just unpack this to the veterans.
Yeah, it's just talking about it everywhere you go and putting it up at meetings and putting it up at the VA and
learning all about it. It's a lot. So these are very useful, these kind of meetings, so that we can digest it all and then we take it back to those meetings. But so there's different ways. There's the office, there's the staff, there's that. And then they love seeing it in person. There's nothing better. And it's harder to say point to the website. You know, we all love that. Nobody really ever does. I mean, a few do that. But if you have a whole meeting about it, today we're going to go over this part of the resource.
And some veterans don't even know these resources exist. Like I talk to people all the time who don't know that we have employment services or we have our homeless coalition, or that just the things that are provided in El Paso, there is an abundance of resources for veterans. And I think that if you take the 60-page book we have, and you consolidate it into subcategories. So like if you're facing homelessness, boom, you click that, there's all the resources, and you can, and even put a little detail like who they serve. Do they serve surviving spouses? Do they serve, if it's a mental health resources, are children allowed to use that category? So break it down a little bit more. I can share this, but as far as putting it on the slide deck for as a goal, I wanted to make sure you guys understood the concept of what I thought would work best. And if it's not what you guys think, then by all means, we can change that.
I think it'll work. And with that QR code, a lot of times, because people have their phones all the time, that if we had even just a pamphlet or a business card and the QR code is there, we can say, just scan this, and even help them scan it.
Right.
And then everything can be put there and they don't have to go anywhere.
Right.
And their family member, whoever's with them, can support them. Because if I pull it up and say, hey, I'm in your area and let's meet, and then you start talking, I said, well, get your phone and do this. So what you don't get from me verbally, then you have a resource to go to right away. And you can also take it to that grandchild like mine to fix it with the IT part for the people that aren't IT savvy, the elders.
Right. So that's kind of the concept. But if you guys are okay with that.
Got a question?
Sir?
Yes, sir.
So I work for Commissioner Stout. Obviously, can't speak to the board. I'm not even speaking for him, but for all that conversation. And so this resource guide is a really good resource, unintended. I just used it the other day because we had a constituent contact us about the machine. And after reaching out to a few people and thinking about it, I realized we have these resources, and so I went to it and started looking through it and had a new appreciation of how wonderful it is. So along those lines, as you think about this, and you all discuss great ideas about marketing and distribution, it may be worth asking the court for like some moderate amount of money to have somebody dedicated to making sure that you touch all these different channels and networks with this product. Because the real impediment is getting people to know it's there and start turning to it just as a matter of daily business. So that's just my 2 cents, something to
No,
consider.
you're right on. That's why I was asking this gentleman here, it's great to be efficient, but if you're not effective, it means nothing. So, being like Mark Zuckerberg, do you guys share your veterans list contacts?
Yes, we have all kinds of
They've got like 2 or 3 people that send out mass distribution.
We got mass
emails.
distributions, we have websites that people go to, we always push it out through channels, we advertise, we go out, like I said, we go out face to face, we on the channel, we on the town hall. We try to push our information out as much as possible. Our goal is to make sure that veterans know what they're eligible for.
Like John said, we got to generate the conversation. We got to get the people in our communities and our counties out there talking about it. And that's going to generate the need. And now we're talking about, Uncle Henry, who's in World War II or Vietnam War, that needs help. It ties it to him. Once we link that, that's good. So.
What do we have for news media as far as like if we could go on television and do our thing and then in the background have the QR code for them to scan like they do on some of the commercials?
I don't know about getting commercial airtime, but I know our communications team does like a weekly, like a county blast that goes out on our YouTube channel. So maybe we do a blast that is for the resource guide and veterans resources, and we can use, without going into funding for commercial time, we can use what we have effectively. So, and then if that's something that gets some traction, then maybe we go back and say, hey, how much does it, cost to do whatever? But
you may want to add FigFam to your, it's drama, but that's where the young people are, old man. Okay, that's where the young people are.
Real quick, I think you hit the spot. I'm gonna go out with Jackie, for precinct 1, sit in the back in a meeting that has nothing to do with me. but give her opportunity to say, hey, if you guys, have veterans out there that need assistance, that guy in the back, leave his card or can be available for you as she continues on with the meeting, because there's more out there than I think. Since I started here, I found out that is deeper and deeper every time I'm out there. Yes, sir.
Yeah, no.
You're gonna say something. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I already
Okay, so
My brother.
we're all in consensus that goal 1 would be to update the resource guide. And then as we go through monthly, we can hash out, like the very next in the March meeting, the March VAB, we can hash out what the criteria is for the resource guide. Do we want only agencies that are free to veterans? Do we want agencies that are charging veterans? Because we have to be careful what we're directing veterans towards. So those are things, it's just food for thought. Right. So right now, I just kind of want an overarching goal to update the resource guide. And I think this kind of sums it up nicely. If you guys are good with that, then we can start working on another priority.
Yes. Real quick, David, you still out there?
I think he got kicked out. Do you want me to
There he
is. I'm here. Anything you want to add, David?
No,
You look spiffy today.
I think the process that Tom presented to us, we move on to the three goals that we need to present.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Porras.
You're welcome.
So the next kind of, and you guys tell me what you're thinking, but the next kind of priority that I see is there are two. There's one that's outreach, and I think that's information that you bring back from veteran service organizations, and also information you're taking out to the veterans. So it's a two-way street. Like, you're going out to these meetings and you're bringing important information back, just like Ms. DeBow did. She spoke to a veteran. They said they think there's a need. So the outreach should be a two-way street between us and the veterans at large, because we're out in the meetings, we're going to these events, et cetera, et cetera. So let me see if I can write something up really quick. Not me, AI, but it's an amazing tool.
The information you gave me for that veteran the other day, for legal support, amazing. Amazing. He sleeps at night.
I got a little input on a veteran that went to that legal service. That's another thing that they provide a legal service out here, but it's not free. It's based on income. So they had income guidelines on that. So I asked one of the veterans that went out there, and there was only about 4 people that actually took advantage of that legal clinic. So I don't know if it was just that it didn't get out to our veterans so they can know about it, or they just were discouraged because of the actual income guidance they had.
This guy couldn't help it. He said, here's an agency that will help you. Perfect. It's delegated as a dog killed a horse.
He's sort of like that one-way conversation.
That's what I'm talking about. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
She's a yellow dog all the time. No, I was talking about, guys. There was a guy needed legal assistance, and thank you, Evan. We talked to him, because that's one of those, my toes is not deep enough in that pond yet. Hey, for a veteran who needs legal assistance, in this case, for his business, but it was alleged that his dog killed a neighbor's horse, and it was up in the air where it's going to go. And but the legal assistance you provide, they were up front saying, we can't help you, but here is where you can go, and it's all good now, because reasonably the dog did not do that. But thank you.
Where are we going to prioritize the housing for the aging? The women's veterans one and the other one.
So that would probably fall under identify gaps in services.
Okay, I'm just making sure that was.
And not to, put the cart before the horse, but when we get to that one, I have some ideas of people that we can bring in. We can bring in our congressional liaisons. We can bring in our state reps. We can talk to them about what's the process. I can bring in the gentleman that runs the state-ran, the Ambrosio Guillen home. He's from the Veterans Land Board. Right, Ron? Mm-hmm. He's from the Veterans Land Board. So we can bring those people in and say, talk to us about this. So we educate ourselves on how one's established. And then we can say, okay, now we need our state representatives or start at the local level to go to, the VAB and the VAC to go to their appointers. Well, no, you're the appointee. So the person who appointed you, go to your elected official and say, how do we talk back up? How do we take this back up the chain of command? So now we're saying this is what we need.
Or if you want, Ms. Wakefield.
Do you think it's a good idea after you do your motion to recommend whatever you're going to do, three goals, and if it passes the Commissioner's Court, do you think that when we get to Commissioner's Court, there's always media there, you can contact, Dr. Gallegos and set up some interviews, maybe with your chair or staff, and just say, these are the goals, and we're working on putting the resource guide together, and maybe later we'll do a press conference or something to just start getting that word out.
I think that this initial brief to Commissioner's Court, this is the first one we've done in years, to my knowledge. We want to give them, these are the things we're going to work on. And then probably like in the fall, and the goal would be ultimately maybe do quarterly updates. Like, this is what we've done this quarter as it pertains to these goals. These are the people we've talked to, and this is the information we found out. So like, this slide deck will grow as we learn more about these agencies and where the gaps are in services. So I think initially for the Commissioner's Court brief at the end of the month, we're just telling them these are the things we want to look at this year. And then they know what we're working on, and they can advise their appointees accordingly when you meet with them monthly. Because that's the goal, is for the appointees to meet with their commissioner monthly, so that the conversation is, and you tell them that this is what, and if you have an idea, somebody you'd like to bring, by all means, I can try to coordinate. Their schedule may not be in line with ours, but if they can't come 1 month, we'll bring them back the next month. So that's, let me copy this.
I think you're on point. It's important that our commissioners know that we're not looking to them as a checkbook on this. We know we got to do outside resourcing some of this, and it's not on our backs at this. The women's shelter or the women's retirement home is huge, but that's a state, maybe federal, but it's not a county side of it.
Right.
But
Right.
we're out working with those outside agencies.
And if I may interject, I agree. I think it'd be good to get this information out, but I think once you all share this, delve into it a little bit more, because you also do have to be cautious about putting the court in a pickle, right? Funding is tough all around right now. And so we don't want to say we're going to do all these great things, but there's no funding for it, because then the publics may come back and we'll have our foot in our mouth because we made these promises and haven't delivered in a period of time that is wanted, right? So just want to put that out there. We just got to be cautious, because these are public meetings. The media is there. They do get a hold of it. And so just to be cognizant and remember the role that you're playing in this point.
I think our main purpose and function is we understand the fact that the funding can't come from the Commissioner Court. We have an understanding and knowing and a surety that the Commissioner's Court is backing us up to go forward. And knowing, and I'm just assuming right now, that because of the different areas and places our commissioners go to, until they hear about services, organization, maybe we don't know about, that could come out and give us that information, come back and give us that information, so we know what direction we're going in, and we can go to these individuals' possibility and look for assistance financially, or just assistance in every way they can help us. We know for sure that we can't put the checkbook on the Commissioner Court because of the funding issues that we have, but mainly knowing and being assured, just as they are confident within us, we have the confidence that they're going to support us and back us up and stand next to us as we go out there and say something, and not saying the proper things, not just speaking off the cuff, but saying the proper things that's going to make doors open up, windows open up, and bring bodies in. That's the main thing.
So I quickly put this through the search engine and came up with this goal. Thank you.
Thank you.
And put this through the goal. I want you to read it. We can change it, edit it, however you want, but I feel like veterans should always be capitalized, but
Is it? It's not like family in the old Army days where family and soldier had to come.
and that, I think that's the soldier in me wants to capitalize veteran anywhere it's written.
I know.
Just be consistent. Whatever you choose.
Let's keep it capitalized.
It's a good thing, yeah.
I think
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
capitalized.
I think it's good.
I mean, it's your VAB, probably should.
Since it starts with veterans.
So this is kind of the goal that, and it kind of outlines like the information that we're taking out and then the information that we're bringing in. And that way we can update Commissioners Court with information that has been brought in accordingly. Are we good with that?
Yes.
Okay.
The only thing that I ask or question is a community, how do we show success?
Like you're
Yes.
talking about markers, like individual
Well, I
markers?
mean, we have to present, so we have to have some type of success. Now, the first one, we can show a ton of stuff,
Right.
but the second one,
Well,
it's,
I think when you go back to Commissioners Court, you say, I attended this VSO meeting and these were the concerns brought to hand. Or I attended this roundtable. There are roundtables and veteran meetings like all the time. The congressional delegates, they have meetings in their areas with veterans, and typically I get the invites for those, so I'll go out, but now I want to also pull you guys in. Like the expo is in March.
21, 22.
And I think some of the VAB members have already been invited to speak in the governmental panel, but if you're not speaking, then by all means come pull up a chair and sit through it because there's some really great information being put out. But I think every meeting, there's an item on the agenda that says receive monthly updates from Veteran Advisory Board members on any items, interest, or issues. That's when you say, I went to the Lower Valley Veterans Alliance meeting and these are the issues they talked about. Or I went to this meeting and this was brought to my attention. For a long period of time, I'd come to this meeting and I'd hear, I've got nothing from the appointees. So this is where you go out, you get the information and you bring it back to us. And then the information that we send out, like if I share flyers or whatever, I went out to this meeting and I shared the flyer that this event is happening because the people who are connected know, but we need to get to the other 48,000 veterans in.
okay, that makes sense. So, okay.
So, and I think that's how we kind of meet that marker is when we go through that item, you say, I attended this meeting and these are my notes, and I attended that meeting and these are my notes, or this event, or
Mr. Del Hierro, would it satisfy that? I think you make a good point. Maybe we add to the goal, and the VAB provide a quarterly report to the Commissioners Court with these gaps or something like that that ties it back to the court itself?
Yeah, I just want to show the court
Sure.
that goal has been successful, completed.
And would you all, I mean, I don't know.
So
share with me.
I
How
can-
often do you go to meetings? How often, what is a realistic reporting time period to give a report
Quarterly
back to the
updates,
quarterly?
Yeah, quarterly would be
Where
good.
did the women's outreach?
We're still figuring it out. We're still in our initial year right now, though. It was not
I'm not
quarterly.
picking on them, I'm just saying.
We gave an
what other-
update 4 months after their initial presentation. So they
So-
presented in September and we gave an update last month.
So would quarterly be out too close or?
I don't want to say worry. You tell me. I mean, maybe there's a lot. It sounds like
That's
there's a lot
our
more
engagement,
veteran
yeah.
stuff than there is women stuff. So, I'm not a good barometer for that. But sometimes I think meeting once a month may not allow for that. I don't want you all to set yourselves up for a deliverable that's not realistic is my bigger concern.
so these objectives,
Drive it.
when I did the goal set up through AI, these objectives are what popped up and I couldn't fit it all on the slide. But if you want to edit these, or it kind of creates your markers, like input from veteran, establish regular and accessible channels for veterans to submit concerns, feedback, and requests for support. This could include town hall meetings, surveys, digital platforms, and direct communication methods. Information dissemination. So this kind of breaks down exactly what you just asked. I didn't, because it's a lot of information, but
that's exactly answers everything.
Then another thing on item number 9, when we go over there, it says monthly updates. So you're providing an update every meeting. So we went to certain meetings, where you would say, you know what, I went to this meeting on so and so day. We're gonna log it into the meeting minutes. So that'll be some of your feedback that you have for the month.
Yeah, and that's how we. That's how we checks and balances that, is we actually bring information back to this meeting saying I went to this, or I went to that, or I was sitting at the VA. Mr. Porras, do you have something to input?
Yes, ma'am. I get for my what veterans are for American Legion. So I can start making some reports.
Okay. I think he was saying that he's part of the American Legion, and as he does those meetings, he can bring back regular. So, and that's the goal. And
right.
So if you want to keep this an objective, or do you want me to put it in the notes?
I think that
I
think that's too much.
Right.
I mean, this is a presentation to the court, so you can include that. Here's the thing, though, when you put it out there, these are the things that are going to be held accountable to. But I think more so, yes, going to the meetings, that's part of your role on this board, but it's bringing back information, bringing back gaps, right? We don't want to just attend a meeting and report. That's not the same as we've identified this gap, we've talked to people, here's the issue. And so I think we should delineate what it is that you guys are doing, right? Yes, attending meetings is part of it, but if the goal is to identify the gaps, and it's bringing back that relative information. Am I making sense?
Yeah.
Well, those are two separate things, though. In terms of the resources and the gaps of the resources, that's one thing. What
That's
this outreach is
Yeah.
just the communications between. That's all it is.
Right, but what is the
we are
point?
doing as a board to go to the community and get information back. And that's what Tony was saying, that we go to all these different meetings, we bring notes, we take notes,
But
and these veterans are telling us
what the gaps
things were correct.
Right, and so that's why I think the goal should be specific to that, right? It should not just be we're attending these meetings and well, this is what happened at the meeting. It should be we attended these meetings and here are some gaps that are being communicated to us. It's different than just attending meetings.
So
is what I'm trying to.
Right, but one goal. So this would be goal number 2, and I'm just going to throw it up there. Goal number 2 is community outreach, right? And then we have the identify gaps in services, which is kind of embedded into goal number 2, but those are they're different. So the community outreach is getting your voice out there and then bringing the voices back in my opinion, that the VAB has been quiet for quite some time. And I think that it's time that we start getting our voices out there. And I say us because,
Really agree.
look at Mr. Maynard right there.
I ain't going to give a shit.
He's back on you with the shirt. Seriously? Just saying.
No, Miss Wakefield, they've been on me for a few months.
Oh my
they have
goodness.
every right to be.
So if you want, I can put the objectives in the notes. I'll slide the objectives for goal number 2 into the notes. And I think the objectives for this goal can also slide into the objectives for the identify gaps in services.
I think you can, and you can leave it. Just my only recommendation when you all are presenting to the court, whoever's going to present, however y'all are going to decide to divide this, just don't read it from the slide. Yes.
I think another thing is to capture is we all do stuff independently. And how do we get it all back to the table? And as a collective effort, the outreach, Debbie's doing, or myself, or
Who is Debbie?
you are.
develop.
And,
Old people.
You can connect him. It's okay.
but we gather those individual efforts and bring it back as a collective effort for the bad. Because I know we're out there.
Yeah.
Out there doing stuff, and done as you're spot on. We go to a meeting, one thing to write notes that people said, like, hey, there's a gap that was, just how can we build that, build that bridge to help, bridge that gap to a resource for our constituents out there, for the commissioners here.
Do you want to limit the gaps in services to local gaps in services, like here in El Paso?
Something we can tackle, because this is the first time they've been briefed in how long back then?
In a bit, and
Okay,
if I
fair
may
enough, that's
enter, I don't know that that's ever happened, to be honest with you, Mr. Barnes, but once
It's one on time.
Catherine would know
That's fair.
better than I
That's
would. I think it's fine if you want to include local gaps in services, but I would advise you to pause on that for a moment, just because the VAB does have the advisory function to the court. And so if there is legislation out there that is disproportionately affecting veterans at the local, state, or the federal level, the court does expect or want you all to bring that to their attention. And so I think if you want to do identify gaps in services locally, that may be.
Are we talking about local populace or local gaps?
I would ask for that clarification, and I wouldn't limit yourself to local, because often, for example, the reason that the Veteran Service Office is established, right, is a state statute that has established them to provide benefits, assistance, right, to constituents. And so there may be something that's happening at the state level with that could affect us locally, but it's not a local issue. Does that make sense? I think it's a good goal, and you'll make an impact, but there are also impacts to be made at the state and federal level, potentially, if there are things.
Maybe I was confused on the local piece. Are we talking about our local constituents, those we affect, or versus not the local challenges or local resources? Those resources maybe state or federal.
Right.
I think we're talking about homes for our veterans, whether it be women or the old soldiers' home. That's not county item. It's a federal item.
Right, exactly. So I was just cautioning you.
Gotcha.
Well, and that's what I'm looking at. I'm trying to word it correctly. So let me show you what it pulled up. And we don't have to keep it, but. And I don't like the 2 because I feel like that's passive. So.
Support their need.
They need, yeah.
There.
Good catch. I was like, English class did that go to?
Uh-huh.
And their needs should be plural, right?
Uh-huh.
The board will collaborate with local agency, community organization, veterans groups to gather insights and data, and will regularly bring these findings to attention of Commissioners Court. Through clear communication and advocacy, we aim to work with state and federal officials to address these gaps, advocating for the necessary resources, policies, and support a higher level of government to enhance the well-being of our veterans. Capitalize that.
Tony, shouldn't you say we aim to work with local, state, and federal officials?
Yeah.
Good catch.
And to your point, sir, you were saying for us to get everything together and then collaborate to put it together what we've done, then I think that we may need to not crisscross. Like if you're going to a VFW or American Legion or something, then let me know so I don't overstep you if you're going to do that. Or we can go as a team. And then whatever we get, we gather and bring back so that all of our entities that we're interacting with, we all know and we can share and then bring back the pertinent information that they're asking for.
Just remember, there can only be 2 members at one meeting, so you won't have a quorum.
Yeah, anytime you guys meet, so if more than 2 of you sit separate, like if all of you go to Veterans at Breakfast, please sit separate because you don't want to create a quorum and talk shop.
Robert's rules are very clear on that, but we can go to lunch.
You can go to lunch, you just can't talk shop.
We just can't talk shop.
Right.
Correct.
We do a memorandum on it, so everyone's lunch, don't know, nothing was talked about, like,
Yes, and have to wait for
Sorry.
notarize it.
Also, just another thing, we got to make sure, for example, if I bring a couple of gaps from our members and present it to that, sure that whatever action is taken, we get back to them, because I still have 2 members that are having severe problems with the VA clinic. They brought it up to their administration, they brought it up to everybody, and nobody gets back to them. So everybody's just saying, oh yeah, that's a problem, and then just nothing happens.
And
So-
just to let you know, Mr. Porras, like anytime if somebody brings a complaint to me, I go to that agency, I ask them who the point of contact is, and then I ask that person, if you're not satisfied with the answer you got, let me know, because we'll start climbing the chain of command. So I typically start, if it's a VA issue, I typically start with Connie Medrano, who works at their public affairs, and then if she gives me a resource and that resource doesn't effectively answer the issue for the veteran, then I'm like, then we're going to start going up the chain of command, and we'll let her know like that was an effective resource. So, and that's the part of the communication and that outreach is like, let me know if this didn't work, because I will never, I will not recommend it again. If it's a resource that we're recommending or whatever, and it's not working for the veteran, then we need to know so we can identify that too.
Okay.
Sir.
When we talk about, just talk, you could point veterans group, going to veterans group together, insights and data, and we'll regularly bring these. When we talk about regularly, what are we talking about? How often are we bringing this to the commissioner's court?
So the goal would be quarterly. The goal would be quarterly. Now, it's never happened before, but I think they would just be excited if we could once a quarter do a quick 10-minute update to the court on what the VAB is doing.
that holds us to the challenge too.
I think that or every 4 months is fine too. Or at least 3 months.
I'm like,
Try.
It's not gonna work.
Why is that every 4 months?
He's challenging you.
all the time. He's still mad about it.
Look it up in AI.
I was going to say, ChatGPT, help me out, please.
So, and I'm saying that, seeing that we're saying quarterly, we should state it as such.
Or you can say on a regular basis to give you some flexibility.
You're doing it monthly anyway on the agenda, so I can help you out too.
We're talking about here, we're as staff, we're now starting to come home, at least in our office, is getting more, I guess we're being more observant here. I don't think you need 4 times might be too much. Okay, twice a year.
You think semi-annually? So, and that's something we can discuss. Like, and maybe the court will give you direction. Like, maybe that's something that you present. Be like, how often would you like to hear from us? And the court will give you direction then, because
just looking at some of your the goals, it's so in 3 months or 4 months, will you be able to identify new gaps and services that need to be brought to the board?
exactly right. But I think if you present this and you say how often would the court like to hear from us? And if they said 6 months, come back and tell us what you're up to, then we can say that's our goal. And we know we have 6 months time before we have to put something together again. But I think that's something that we can, when we do the presentation to Commissioner's Court, you can ask for guidance from the court and saying, we'd like to ask the court for guidance to.
You want to bring old news to them. If something happens 5 months ago, you bring it to them as a win or it's old news,
Right.
This information has a shelf life. So.
Right, but if we identify, let's say in April we identify a need, and then we want to, maybe it's a House bill or something, and we identify a need, then we have a deadline to get something on Commissioner's Court. So on our meeting, we can say we want to present this month and put something together.
Why don't you put at least annually? And that ties you to a 1-year update, but then you have the ability to update
would like your guidance on when you'd like us to come back, or if we have a gap that we feel needs to be addressed immediately, how would you like us to bring that to you? Because, and then they want that interaction. I think that they would be ecstatic to have that interaction with the VAB.
You guys think you run the precincts? What do you think?
Like we're saying, we'll be in contact with Ms. DeVoe. So she tells us, hey, we have an emergency item that needs to be addressed. That can be your as well.
I'm not gonna have your commissioners take credit for our work. I'm sure that's going all right. No, I'm kidding. It's a win for all.
So mean. So that being said, I think we've identified our goals for the year and what we're going to present to Commissioners Court. And we can start hammering down. So like if you guys want to do a dry run brief to Commissioners Court next week, do we want to select a date and time?
This is basically a actual meeting item, though, right? We have to recommend it and vote on it.
I asked and she said, no, we don't have to do a motion to.
Work product, right?
It's a working session, yeah. I asked when we established the first goal, I was like, do we need to vote on that? And
Okay.
No, we do
And
get
on-
on the next meeting though.
under the, I mean, if you guys want to, we can. And then under the objectives, under goal 2, I can put that in the notes, and that's can be talking points for you guys.
We don't it's busy slot.
So right, it's a lot, and you don't want to read that. Like nobody likes to read red slides too. I'm like, I can, yeah. So I'll put this in the notes. That's what we were just discussing.
Next week, most likely.
If there's
We
not,
don't have a
there should be
choice.
motion to recommend.
One
There isn't any other meeting.
Yeah, we're gonna have we're another working group.
Oh, you are?
Special meeting, thanks, is the title.
Tuesday?
Yeah, in case there's any edits.
Next Tuesday,
After.
work, everybody?
Hold on, let me put my calendar.
I have to change my hearing.
Oh, we can vote on this.
This is the concerns we
No,
have.
let's vote on them as a whole. Oh no, the goals aren't going to change.
It's a gap.
Days.
This would be tiring.
The
Tuesday is
18th,
the 18th.
Gonna need
I'm free all day. What we need to know is this room free?
Oh, you're not broadcasting.
No, we can suspend broadcasting on this one. On the 18th, but do you have a calendar to see if this room is available?
I don't believe you can do that.
Okay, you want me to run? I think they're insurance.
It's usually available.
So Tuesday, 1 o'clock?
Tuesday, tentatively, 1 o'clock. They're checking to see if this room is available.
Checking to see if it's.
Is morning better for anybody? To me, it don't matter to me. I mean,
I can't in the morning. I have an appointment with the hospital. My surgery.
Okay. 1300 good for you, Mr. Porras?
Yes, ma'am.
You get your picture taken that day.
Cool. I'll be sure and shower. Even though it's not Saturday.
I will verify that the room is, we need to vote on it. If we're making a special session. So can I get we got everybody?
Motion for a special working group, Tuesday, 18th at 1 o'clock.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, then now that we have 3 goals, do you guys want to, so once we vote on the goals, we won't be able to amend them. But I think what we're working on now is notes and how we're presenting. So are you guys good with voting on the 3 goals and establishing them?
I mean, you can still change them. You'll just have to do another vote if you change them.
Yeah, okay.
What did you?
She said if we vote on them, we cannot change them.
I'm like,
Ever.
We need to vote today then, we're just working. Tuesday vote then?
Either way.
Your call, Chair.
Just make a hold. Put on hold and we'll vote Tuesday
Okay.
and we'll finalize.
Roger.
There's no rush to failure.
And what I'll do is share this slide deck. I'll throw this slide into notes and then I'll send it out to you first thing tomorrow morning so you can kind of mull over it between now and Tuesday.
Can we send to everybody?
Yes. I have a distro list. You just can't see everybody on it. Like everybody gets it. But to avoid quorum,
It's not a quorum unless someone has
someone hits reply all.
someone here makes it a quorum.
Someone reply all.
No.
Okay, that being said, are we ready to move on to item F?
Yes.
Item F, discuss and receive monthly updates from the Veteran Advisory Board members on items of interest or issues from the representative for precinct veterans. Let's go with our precinct number 1.
Precinct number 1, none at this time. I know our precinct 1 is out for this week. You know, I'll be back. Still engaging our community out there, looking for those individuals as a gap to help bridge. Thanks to Efren, reached out to him this week, and of course Johnny on the spot. I think he changed the family's day that day, so that was a huge win. And so that's what precinct 1. Precinct 1, second to none.
Thank you. Precinct number 2, Mr. Mayor.
At this current time, I don't have any updates from my commissioner. Still moving forward with some of the things me and I talked about last time we met, and I'm going to weekly step right after this meeting and line out some things and get some ways to have a better communication for us going forward.
Thank you, sir. Precinct number 3, Mr. Villar.
Okay, at the Alliance meeting, Horizon City is going to be having a fish fry that's pretty well attended. I will have the specifics tomorrow, so I will send you the actual time and date. Also, Fabens is basically recommending a new memorial that is currently in design, and that should be approved here relatively shortly. So I will confirm that it was voted in. Outside of that, you know, they are more than happy now to be very active in responses, in doing whatever they all need to help us.
Thank you. Precinct number 4.
The Northeast is going to have a Black History Parade. From my understanding, the only one, because the people here in the city don't line up like us in the Northeast. We bring it. So it's going to be at 10 o'clock. It's going to start at Diana, and go to Tobin's Park, where they're going to have everything lined up out there, the food trucks, everything, and just a nice little ending. So they would like everybody to please try and participate. I attended the Northeast Concerned Citizens meeting this morning, and it was off the chain. We had our district representative, Trejo, and she got slain in a lot of places. But the biggest concern for the veterans and the citizens in the Northeast is the overrated, getting ready to be electric bill. And it's at $6, and they want 12%. And they're trying to move it down to where, I think they asked for 20%, and they're trying to make it 12 or either 9 to 12, so that instead of $6 a month, it's actually $22.39 a month for the individual. So people on fixed incomes, military people that only get their VA and their Social Security, they really spoke up this morning and just told the district commissioner, like, what are you doing? And they brought in Karen Newman, their legal counsel person. I think I said her name right. And she's dealing with a lot of outsourced people that come in and actually do the rates and tell them by law, other constituents, you are robbing us blind and no, that's not going to go, and then get them to do something less. So they're still vying with them and fighting with them about that. So that was the major concern. And then the other one was the one that I brought up about the soldiers' home. They were really concerned about on Kenworthy, that particular entity being totally filled. It's been full for a long time. You can't get a space for a male or a female. veteran now at the veterans home there. And so they're asking what is being done in our community now, not just the Northeast, but in El Paso, where can we start to put veterans? And I meant to ask the gentleman from the VA. I know they have like a hospice section or whatever, but I'm trying to see if like even William Beaumont may have a section that they can use to start maybe putting some of the veterans if they don't have any place else to put them.
In hospitals.
I know it's so many out here that we haven't even heard about that their families are struggling with. And with the families struggling with them, you're not going to get the total numbers of how many people really need the help. So the 21st and the 22nd of March, that's going to be at the Starlight. So that's going to be the El Paso Expo. And we please would like everybody to support that as well. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. County Judge appointed, Mr. Porras?
Yes, sir. Yes, the honor of meeting with the judge a couple of weeks ago. And he had received a phone call from a veteran here in El Paso who was concerned about the lack of identifying and supporting some of our older veterans, especially those that are Medal of Honor recipients. And I think he gave him a list of 11 individuals in the county of El Paso that are Medal of Honor recipients who wanted to see how we could put together some type of a program for identifying these veterans and to make sure that we're doing everything possible that we can to show our support for all the veterans here in the county of El Paso moving forward. We also talked about the duplication of effort between all the different veterans organizations, and I think maybe with some of our goals, we are able to address that in regards to communicating via modern technology and things of that nature. So he's very concerned about the lack of transparency between all the veterans organizations. So he would want us to continue to work on that. But he did mention that if we could come up with some kind of a program or ways to identify additional Medal of Honor recipients that we may know here in the county of El Paso, if we could bring it to his attention so we can put something together for that.
Thank you, Mr. Porras.
I have an alibi.
Well,
My alibi is during the end of the Vietnam War is coming, so that era, and so they're going to do this big to-do at the Bel Air High School.
No, that got canceled.
They got canceled?
Yes,
Oh.
ma'am. So they're looking, just to let you know, that the 50-year anniversary of the end of the Vietnam War is at the end of April. There is going to be a large event. The tentative date is April 30th. And we're talking like Veterans Capital, that size of event. I am under the understanding that the city is taking the lead on that, but as I get information, I will loop you in on that as well. So it is in early planning stages as it's the end of April, but as we learn more, I will share more. So just to let you know that that is coming.
And I just wanted to add that we can use any help to help you with the Medal of Honor people.
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
The Old Glory Memorial, we're really trying to get that one plugged in for the city of El Paso. We've got all 50 flags. We've got the big giant flag, and we have the facility and the chairs and setup for any program you want to put there. So please use us. I'm the chaplain for that and Flags Across America, so please use us.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
We'll help you put together the program for the Medal of Honor.
Okay.
We've done it for the Purple Heart, so we've got a success rate.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is
I
there
look forward to working with you.
Is there anything for them, if you can hear me, is there anything for the Medal of Honor right now for those that reside in El Paso?
You mean monuments?
Yes, or?
We have the Medal of Honor monuments out there. We have World War I, II,
And three.
III, not three. Stop it. What is wrong with you?
No.
Vietnam. We just did the pillars for the Gulf War.
Right.
And they're in Georgia. One broke coming off the ship, so we're getting that one put together. We have the
There's one just briefed.
what?
Also, The VA may be a good source. Like if you want a list of Medal of Honor recipients, when we file our claims, that's one of the criteria we check is they have these awards. And if they're like the Purple Heart, Medal of Honor, they check that. The VA may have that data. So it might have been good to ask while Mr. Enriquez was still here. But we can revisit that as we go along. Just so I'll put that in my notes to something that we need to keep an eye on.
Okay.
Anything else?
I don't have anything else. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any alibis? Commissioner's office, any alibis back there?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much.